You called?
Yes, you lazy creature. While you were sleeping, I finished my greatest creation.
Welcome to a new episode of Chasing 80s Toys, and on today's episode we're gonna take a look at Panthor from the Masters of the Universe Origins toy line made by Mattel. And when I say Panthor, I mean Panthors, because they released two versions of this big cat of Skeletor. First one they released was this Unflocked version, which I think is pretty cool. It's the cheaper of the two. The second one they released is the Flocked Panthor with realistic fur, and I want to do a big shout out to my good friend Gojitron because he gifted me this Flocked Panthor and it looks awesome. Now before we start taking a look at both of the Panthors from the Origins toy line, I want to show you this. This is the Panthor from the 80s. And you can see the original box art as it was in the 80s, and a lot of inspiration for the Origins artwork has been drawn from this vintage artwork. Box art like this got me dreaming for hours, spending hours in toy stores back in the 80s. And as you can see, Panthor was flocked in the 80s. That's how the original came, and I'm very happy that Origins choose to give us at least a flocked version, but it's very interesting they went with an unflocked version as well, and we're gonna take a closer look at that in just a bit. But first, just take in this amazing box art. Here we have the vintage Panthor and the Origins Panthor back to back, and you can already see that the box of the Origins one is a lot bigger. Also, this shows you how much the artwork on the Origins box is inspired. We see Skeletor on Panthor in that pose, ready to strike, and we get the same pose on the vintage one. So it's very cool. They kept going with that theme with the new Origins line, and you see that with a lot of the artwork on the Origins. Very well done, Mattel. Also cool with Origins is that you get Skeletor in his original version 1 attire on the front, and on the back you see Panthor with battle armor Skeletor.
Still too far away for me to use the diamond ray.
Here we have both of the Origins Panthors again side by side, and artwork on the side of the box is exactly the same. The artwork on the back, also the same. On this side, exactly the same, and so is on the front. There is a difference, of course. The one with the flock, it's gonna say realistic fur, collector's edition, and the other one isn't. Now there are some differences. This one says new for 21, modern posing retro play, and this one doesn't have that date on it. And here, modern posing retro play is given in more languages because this is the worldwide release. So you get a bit of difference there. The one worldwide says Panthor, the one US says Panthor Savage Cat. Same on this side. And on the back you can see that the figures from the US version have new for 21 there, and the one for the worldwide release, there is no year noted there. But besides that, they're exactly the same as far as the box goes. I've just taken both of the Panthors out of the boxes and they're still in their inlays, and the Unflocked is packed like this, the same way as my Battle Cat was packaged. There's a plastic inlay and it's stripped in there, background red cardboard. But the collector's edition, the one with realistic fur, has an extra cover of plastic. And it isn't strapped in. And I think the reason why Mattel did this is to protect the fur. You know, if you strap it real tight like this, perhaps the fur could get damaged. You could see marks where those strips have been, and that's why they went with this inlay, which is nice because it makes it even more easier if you want to take your Panthor out and then put it back in and display it in the box. You can put it back exactly the way it was. And here we have both Panthors fresh out of the box. And they both look pretty cool. I like the fur on this one, and that takes me back to the vintage Panthor from the 80s. That's how Panthor should be. He should be flocked, so I'm really happy again Mattel chose for this option. Then again, I'm very happy Mattel also gave us the Unflocked one, because there is so much more detail on this fella here. Detail that you lose the moment you start flocking your toy. At this moment I like to bring in the vintage Panthor, and this is a loose Panthor I had, and you can immediately see this difference in size between the three of these. The Origins ones are so much taller on their feet than the vintage one. Also nice to see the two flocked ones next to each other. Paint detail is a lot more detailed with the Origins ones. Back in the day with the 80s we just had a few yellow stripes for the eyes, and I did come across vintage ones where they weren't even centered right. One eye was over here, the other one was on his cheek, so that was a bit weird. And of course this is my loose vintage Panthor, so the flock wore off a bit due to the playing adventures I had with this one. But it's still cool to see the three of them standing side by side. The color for the saddle with the Origins one is a little bit more lighter, but the material feels just as sturdy as the one of the vintage one. And like with the vintage, you can easily take the saddle off the back of Panthor. And here we have both of the Panthors without a saddle. And I can already see there are some marks on the back of the flocked one where the saddle was tightly on his back. You can see a few marks there, so you do want to be careful with your flocked one. Also with the joints, because a big bonus of the Origins to the vintage is the articulation. And I can see some wear and tear happening here over time with the flocked one, so I'm gonna be a bit careful with this one. Here we have the vintage one again. As you can see, one complete sculpt, no articulation whatsoever on this one. And you know what? I didn't care as a kid in the 80s. This was awesome. But what's also awesome is that we did get articulation with this one. The tail can move. And so can the front and the back legs. Also a movement here. Same on the back. We got a movement where the neck goes in the body. And the head and the neck, that can move too. And so does the mouth. That's really awesome. If you want to get that epic roar, you can open the mouth of Panthor. That's really nicely done, Mattel.
Someday you won't order me around, Skeletor.
Only thing I have to say about these, and the same goes for the Battle Cat, is that it would have been absolutely nice if they would have given us another joint here at the bottom of the paw, so you can even pose your Panthor or Battle Cat in more poses.
Oh, hi. Nice kitty.
And it's time to wrap up this video, my look at Origins Panthors. And to sum it up, I think both of them get a thumbs up from me. Only negative point I really have to mention is the lack of articulation at the paws here. That would have been nice if Mattel put that in, but all the pluses really add up and make this, whether you go for the Unflocked one with more detail or the Flocked one, which really takes you back to the vintage one, you can't go wrong with these Panthors really. They look pretty awesome and I'm happy to have both of them in my collection. Again, Goji, thanks for sending me this Flocked one, which was impossible to get in my own country at the time. And I hope you all enjoyed watching this video, and there's more Chasing 80s toys to come in the future, so tune in next time. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye bye.
Witless fools, do I have to do everything for you?